action. And we're back after our 3-4 month hiatus. Like, whoo guys, jumping on YouTube. Just kidding. My name is Mullins. I'm a commercial director and filmmaker, and you just saw some of my work. Today's video is gonna be very off the cuff. You know, me spilling out my thoughts, trying to connect the dots between what's been on my mind, what I'm excited about, and you know, a couple lessons that I've learned lately that I totally could have known sooner. Because one of my big goals for this year is to get back to doing the type of work you saw at the very beginning, right? That stuff excites me more than anything. I'm gonna bring you guys up to speed, talk about some things that I'm excited about and that I'm working on every single day, ultimately share the systems that are going to help me create my best work this year and moving forward. If you do anything in media, I just don't see anything as important as becoming a more articulate speaker, becoming a better storyteller, and putting in the reps to put your work out into the world. Because ultimately, it's just a net positive experience for everyone. Just to preface anything I talk about in here, I don't think anyone should do anything. All of these ideas and lessons, I'm always directed at my younger self. Something that I wish I could have sat down 5 years ago and could have totally implemented into my process, cleaned things up, organized the way that I thought about things, and just created a more streamlined way to make better work and not be so stressed, honestly. The first thing, and this is more of an update, as right now it's January 2025, I'm currently working on a film, probably titled All I Need. Alex Broadstock and I co-directed a film through Bluehour last June. We flew out to London. We worked very closely with this artist, Jasper Tigner, and an incredible DP, Dion. We got to work with Jasper for almost a week and go through his entire creative process on bringing art to life and really digging into the artist mindset. What are the limiting beliefs? What are the hurdles that we face as artists? It's something I'm really excited about. It hits very close to home. Alex and I have been sitting on this thing for a minute. We got incredibly busy last year, and so the project kept getting pushed out and pushed out. So we're finally at a place now where we can sit down, reevaluate everything, and you really have to download everything again and go back and digest all the material, and there's a lot of friction in that process. You just have to treat it like any other project. There's just a little extra friction at the beginning. The next thing that I've been implementing and have been most guilty of in the past is not sharing my work, and in particular trying to share more of my work here on YouTube, really making the most out of what I already have and how to make the most out of projects going forward. You know, younger Mitchell would have told you that you got to keep the process close to your chest, right? If someone else knew what I knew, it would take away from what I was able to do. And, you know, I think through experience and talking to a lot of seasoned artists, musicians, filmmakers, it's just simply not true. There's so many specific and nuanced things that go into every person's process that is so unique to them that you really can't strip that from the individual. To me, that was incredibly relieving to know that I could sit down with you, I could tell you exactly what I was going to do, I could tell you exactly how I was going to do it, and I might even be able to do it for you, and you still couldn't do it. And the same goes for you, where I couldn't do the things that you do because you might be able to tell me the how, but I don't know the why. I don't know the millions and millions of decisions that you made up to that point that you're going to implement into your workflow going forward. And so no matter what I share, I could give you the project file, I could tell you exactly how to do it, and it takes away nothing from my creative process or yours. There's a quote that goes, if you can't teach it, you don't know it. It's exciting for me to look back at the process and go, do I really know this? Do I really know how to implement this? To make a video on how to do something, you need to know 10 times as much than the simplified version of what you're giving to the audience. And so for me, it's been very educational, trying to piece these components together of how my creative workflow works together, and then ultimately giving that out as value to you guys. Yeah, another concept that I've been thinking a lot about lately is the difference between specific knowledge and common knowledge. When you sit down to edit, that skill that you obtain through continually repeating that process, right? The reps that you put in on any given skill creates the specific knowledge that you understand on your style and your ability to frame up a camera or color grade a clip, right? Common knowledge or more obvious things are things that you can find online. You can go and look at a tutorial on how do I change my timeline settings. it's obvious. There's nothing special that common knowledge brings to the table, although it might be important. Technical knowledge is important to know how to work the camera. Common knowledge is important to understand how things function, but then specific knowledge is unique to you. They say that specific knowledge can't be taught, but it can be learned. My whole goal here is that I can try to share some of that specific knowledge and really break things down to the fundamental level so that I can help you guys actually learn the things that make our work unique. This is something I want to talk about a lot more in future videos. If you want to watch it, I've put up this over an hour tutorial on the breakdown from the Beyond This Atmosphere video. A lot of the things that I was trying to convey was specific knowledge, how the clips go together, how the pacing, how the contrast of things play into the larger picture, the push and pull of the edit is all specific knowledge, and it comes through practice. But you know, often through seeing other artists who are more advanced or just do things in a different way, you can bridge that gap easier and go, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. To attain specific knowledge in any skill, we have to have a tangible project that we're working on. You know, this YouTube video, I'm growing in my ability to communicate ideas. If you're creating a film or you're creating an edit for Instagram or you have a client project, you're attaining specific knowledge through practice. Something I'll always say is your style is your preference, and we're really trying to define those preferences in everything that we do. You know, another idea that I've been thinking a lot about recently is that ideas should be public domain. No one is going to be able to do the things that you do. No one is going to be able to make the film the way that you make it. By going out and sharing these ideas and sharing the things that we're excited about, it not only helps you articulate them better, it helps you understand the things that you actually like. And if anything, if people like the ideas, then you'll become more of an influence in the space. It's really just a net positive experience for everyone. The whole approach of this thing happened no longer takes precedent. The new thing that's in this year is ideas, sharing understanding, really giving people a behind the scenes look in a deeper way than before. Don't even get me started on all the benefits this has for your business or systems of value, creative landscape, commoditized versus specialized labor. I could go on and on about these things, but we'll save this for another video. Something I probably would have said to my younger self is that if you're scared of losing something, you probably didn't have something valuable in the first place. To tie up this section, I'm gonna leave you with a quote I heard that really challenged the way I thought about sharing my own work. If you can't communicate what you're doing in a manner that is attractive and accessible, you might as well be alone in the dark for the rest of your life because no one is going to know what you're doing. All right, look, this took me way too long to understand. Put simply, your digital workspace is just as important as your physical one. What does this look like? Going through, clearing off the desktop, organizing the folders in our documents. I have everything synced on Dropbox, so going through there, kind of making sure everything is exactly where it needs to be, organizing the business documents, just keeping everything up to date and doing some general house cleaning. Don't even give me this whole, empty desk, is it empty mind, blah, blah, blah. Have you seen the meme where just the photo of the earth, it's like, what do you do in this situation? It's the same thing here, right? You have a clean desk, clean desktop. What do? You get your work done. You sit down, you have a much more streamlined way to go from idea to execute anything. I've been playing around with this idea of action debt. When you leave something out on the counter, you have to go pick it up at some later point, right? You've created a debt for yourself. And the same thing goes with if you just drop a random item on your desktop or your downloads, at some point in the future, you're gonna have to go clean it up, or it's going to create more friction, which would be like the interest in the debt comparison. There's going to be this interest of your attention getting back to the things that actually mattered. So, having a clean workspace, having a clean digital landscape, just being able to step into work simply, I really kind of overlooked that one for the longest time, and it took maybe a couple hours and has had such a huge impact on my ability to just sit down and drop into the zone. Don't get me wrong. Every now and then when I'm super deep in a project or there's a lot going on, we've got cups on the desk. Right now we're filming. The room kind of looks a little messy. I'm not too worried about it at all times. I'm not trying to be too strict about things. Things should have a place, and they should have a place in all areas, not just in our physical space. So it's something I've been trying to get better at. It's something I put a lot of attention to over the past month or two, and it's helped me tremendously. The older I get, the more convinced I am that writers run the world. Every single thing that we do is writing. You're writing an email, you're writing a pitch, you're talking on a call, you're talking to someone at the store. Like, our ability to articulate what we actually mean and mean things in the right way, I just can't imagine. Like, we don't operate in the world any other way. We just have our thoughts and the way that we express them. At any given moment, and I'm guilty of this, we think we have such great, well thought out, articulate ideas, and the moment we're asked to write them down or describe them, or, what's the storyline, or, explain that idea or write out that business plan, the moment you go to write it down, a lot of us choke. Right? We just go, you all of a sudden realize how many holes you actually had in your thinking. And for me, it's been one of the most transformative ways to be able to understand my ideas better and also build on top of them in a way that's clear, letting me understand the entire landscape of things that I find exciting and help me clarify and find my blind spots, whether it's through creative work or just in life, financially. Really everything can benefit from writing. And it doesn't have to look like you're sitting down and writing a novel. For me, it's, I have some idea, I go in my notes and I clarify that idea. I think about it, am I really thinking about this the right way? Because 99% of the time, I'll go in to write something and realize I was actually thinking something a little bit different than what I would have told you. Unless we're talking with other people, we don't really have that way to have a two-way conversation with ourselves in our own heads. They're kind of just the thoughts. They're never as drawn out and elaborated on as we would like them to be. And writing for me has been such a great way to have that two-way conversation and kind of step outside of yourself, look at it objectively, and go, is this really what I think? And tinker and fix and edit the little things until you have a really great understanding of where you want to take an idea, or just clarifying your own thoughts. We often aren't able to think ourselves out of our problems, but we can often write ourselves out of them. The next thing that I'm actively working at and trying to incorporate in my day-to-day is calisthenics. When I was younger, I was a competitive gymnast for 5 years, and we would train handstands, do all the events, rings, P-bars, pommel, floor, ball. It's something I incredibly miss. Every day since I've competed, I'm always practicing handstands, doing pull-ups, doing all these different things to kind of keep that side of me active. And this year I'm trying to step more into that and practice doing a full plunge, practice the front lever, things. Every time I go into the gym, I'm trying to unlock these holds because it's always been a dream of mine since I was younger, and here we are. Gymnastics taught me that if you do something for long enough and you unlock each and every little part, at some point you're able to do the things that you once thought were impossible. In any domain, whether it's working out, in filmmaking, in any skill that we want to learn, there's really 3 problems that we can solve. The first one is the most obvious ones, right? I call this obvious content, or you watch a tutorial, you learn the technical knowledge like I was talking about earlier. The anatomy teacher in school tells you, oh, the muscle in your neck is this, or this bone, is a part of your jaw, and then you instantly know it and you instantly have it. The second type are impossible problems, right? No matter how much time you spend on something, you're never, at least within humanity's set of understandings, we're not going to be able to unlock that thing right away. If your whole goal was how to build a spaceship to get to Jupiter, at least at the current moment, you could spend all of your time doing that and most likely not figure it out. But there's this third type of problem. You can understand it now, and you can understand the totality of it if you work long enough at it that you can unlock that thing. It's the whole approach of, I don't know how to solve this problem now or do this thing, but if I work at it long enough, I'll find a solution. I love having these challenges where you have to work continually at something to unlock something, and at some point, a skill like a front lever or a full plunge will be unlocked, and you'll just have that skill ready at any given moment. The next thing that I'm focused on is product design. Over the years, I've had my hands in a number of different products that have come out, whether that's physical products or digital products. Last year I put out a notebook. It was an A5, just notebook for all of your ideas. I titled Inputs. I've currently revoked the site. I plan to put it out in the future, but for now it's on pause. But that was such an incredible journey to figure out how to build, sell, market an actual physical product and put a design out into the world. Another product I got to work on was a vinyl with Tony Anderson. We created the highest quality a vinyl record for his music. Tony's a great friend of mine. We got to go on this journey over a year and a half of designing this vinyl, watching it get pressed, putting it out into the world, getting it fulfilled, to have something tangible that was in your mind and you created and solved every problem along the way to make it happen. The other side of products are the digital products, right? Things, assets that are valuable. We've done things like the Creative FX pack in the past. I've sold presets for things, and just really getting back into that space. Ultimately, we want to be able to spend our time on things that we build once and sell twice. Let us spend more time on the things that are actually important to us and not just running around with our heads cut off at every single project. Oh, gotta do this, gotta fit a different size shape and a different size hole every single time. And so getting back into the product space, building things that are valuable, and really condensing down some of this knowledge and understanding into things that scale is a huge focus of mine this year. I feel like all the pieces are kind of coming together from the past years. For instance, over the years I've been putting my stuff up on Film Supply, and it's one of those things that you build it once, you sell it twice. You all of a sudden, I haven't thought about it in weeks, months, I check in on it every now and then, but it's one of those things that's always there. It's always running in the background. It's something that you can stand on every single day. It's something I like to call a system of value, right? It's like almost like a little machine put out into the world that is continually generating value on its own without your effort needed to be there. Whether that comes through presets or knowledge products or physical products, anything that aids in the creative process and allows a more fluid way for us to connect our ideas is where I want to spend my time. Another aspect of building products that excites me is the craftsmanship aspect. There's this quote that I'm going to butcher this, but it goes something like, for the painter, craftsmanship is defined as not what's on the front of the shelf, but what's on the back, the side that no one ever sees. As artists, as filmmakers, we take really great pride in the things that people never see, right? The pre-production and planning, all of the experiments during post-production, the shaping of the story, the reshaping of things, and it's parts of things that people will never see, but it all adds up into the result of the final product, no matter what you're making. Being able to create things that are valuable, things that people find valuable, but also being able to put our artistic touch and craftsmanship into something excites me so much. So definitely still a huge focus, even though it's a reshift from the inputs notebook last year and the physical products, really encapsulated by the whole idea of, I want to be spending my time mostly on things that you build once, sell twice. Jack Butcher, I think. The next thing that I'm continually learning about is eating clean and trying to get my mind as sharp as possible. Over the past year, I've been on this journey on cutting back on everything I've been eating and trying to simplify my diet as much as possible, stripping everything back to the most basic components of, I have a meat, high fat diet, low carb, has made me feel some of the sharpest and most energized I felt in a really long time. And I'm slowly incorporating other ingredients back in because I want to continue to make new recipes and different things that are exciting and not just have such a stripped back diet forever, but retaining this idea that our mental acuity comes first. The ability to have fluid thoughts and the ability to articulate them well is so important, because I remember so much time where I felt this massive fog over what I could think, and I really like to try to put markers on this or do little tests to figure out, how am I actually feeling at the current moment. And for me, one of those is how fluidly could I write right now? Like, how easily do the ideas go onto paper? Kind of thinking in the morning, like right when you wake up, pre-coffee, I'm like, oh, I kind of feel foggy and hazy. And then after a little bit, I'm like, oh, the words flow really easily. Like I kind of get in a flow with it. Or days that I'm like totally worn out, I just think, could I write right now? And a lot of the times when I'm pretty exhausted, the answer is no. Trying to facilitate a space of mind that is most keen to outputting a lot of work, creating clear ideas, speaking articulately, and just feeling great. It's just one of those things that, along with hypertrophy training and calisthenics, that I'm incredibly passionate about, just learning about the mind, making sure we have the right nutrients, making sure we have the right fuel, everything from nootropics to supplements, all that stuff is, if you catch me eating a meal and I'm watching a YouTube video, it's probably on something health related. It's just this continual lifelong journey of trying to learn more and more about the body, the mind, and how we can just facilitate the space to have our best ideas and create our best work and feel the best all the way along. Another huge focus this year is design and curation. I've been in this space since this last March and just got the opportunity to redesign everything. I've just been so wrapped up with other client projects. We put a fresh coat of paint on the wall, getting some of the lighting done, really focusing a lot on the aesthetics, really just giving myself permission to spend more time if I want something to look a certain way. In my experience, it goes both ways. People go, oh, don't worry about it, just create fluidly, do this, do that. In my experience, doubling down on that has always paid off. And it's one of those things that you do it once and it's there forever. Again, bringing it back, your style is your preference. The more we can define our preferences, the easier it is to let those seep into our work, our space, our thoughts, and ultimately just creating a space that we're excited to be in and that inspires us. What's the saying? The best camera is the one you have. Like, do the most with what you have, but don't settle for just good work. We're trying to create great work this year and really push ourselves when it comes to the way that things look, the entire picture, just overall design, mood, feeling, looks. That's what we're here for. Moving forward into 2025, we're giving ourselves more permission to spend more time learning things that excite us. Whether this is VFX concepts, whether this is spending the extra hour on the color grading tutorial and lesson, just really letting our curiosity run wild and finding channels and ways that we can kind of tame that curiosity, but spend more time cultivating projects and ways of expressing our ideas. To be honest, it honestly made me a little sad looking at the reel or the very intro to this video. That's some of my favorite work of the past 4 years, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. Why wouldn't we want to be doing anything outside of the things that bring us to life the most? And obviously we have projects, we have responsibilities, this and that, but my goal is to try to mesh these things, right? If I can find a way to do more of that in a way that is sustainable, that I can incorporate into products, that I can incorporate into sharing and expressing ideas and kind of giving you guys the behind the scenes on everything, then that would make me, more fulfilled than anything. You kind of do an audit of your last year, pretty much every year around the holidays, and I probably only spent about 10 to 20% of my professional hours on things that I would be excited to share, and that has to change, right? There has to be a way to leverage our work going forward. If it's not special to you, and it's not something that only you can do, and that is unique to your brain and your vision, then it's a commodity. And we do not need to be doing commodity work, right? The space is already as saturated as it needs to be. There's room for everyone, but if you want to stand out, it's never been easier. We just have to capitalize on the things that make us unique and actually use them in our work and use them to elevate our ideas going forward. There's a laundry list of VFX things that I want to try, that I want to incorporate into the films, and I'm just giving myself permission to take a step back, work on those things because they are important, and although they don't have a direct correlation to finishing this client project or doing this, they're important to me. And whether that's writing, whether that's making these YouTube videos, whether that's focusing on VFX content or whatever it may be, spending more time doing that and knowing that it's okay to do those things, because ultimately that specific knowledge, that deeper understanding always gives you an advantage in some sense or way. Something that's been running through my head a lot is there really is no right way to do anything. You would have asked me 5-10 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, to be a filmmaker, you got to do this, you got to do that. And partly it's just the industry changing, partly it's just new media, partly it's just there's so much great work and ways to be inspired and ways to incorporate new ideas into things. There really is no right way to do this. You can have someone who's focused on YouTube and still land larger clients. You can have people that are running a production company and they're crushing it. All that matters is that your efforts are aligned with the work that you're doing. I've always thought for the longest time, to be a director, I've got to be this. To be a filmmaker, I've got to be this. I've got to do this and this. And in reality, it's all just about growing the things that are unique to you. Because at the end of the day, that's all that we have to leverage moving forward. I'm just trying to strip away this idea of, if I'm a filmmaker, I've got to do it this way. I've got to just post the frames. I've got to just post this. It's like, dude, people do work with other people, not with projects, right? People aren't going to remember, here's just this one project he did and blah, 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 blah. This. People want to work with you. They want to work with your unique take and spin on things, and it really has never been easier to stand out. And then the last thing I'm focusing in on is just having fun, being able to go out with friends. Last week I got to go out on the mountain with my friend Tucker, and it was such a needed day. of, you know, after like a month plus of just working head down, being able to get out on the mountain and go snowboarding and have some fun in the trampoline park was just a huge mental reset. And it's something I need to embrace more of. Understand that it's important to take time off, to go experience things and just be with people, and ultimately it's not that deep. That doesn't mean that we won't make great work and fully apply ourselves to things. You know, in the past, I feel like I might have taken too serious of an approach to certain things, and I'm trying to lighten that load a little bit this year. It's just a video. It's just this. When you put things in retrospect, I'm feeling sharp, I'm feeling good. At the end of the day, there's no one else that's gonna move this needle forward besides me, and it's true for any of us. So there's a lot of work to do, there's a lot of things to be excited about, and it's gonna be an absolutely incredible year. I'll leave us with this quote: "The mark of a fulfilled individual, they know where they're going, they know how to get there, and they have fun along the way." I love you all. Thanks for the endless support. Let's get after it. I'll catch you in the next one.
Action.